everybody, it's that time of week again. It's time for Wine a Little Wednesday. Welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying this series of videos. Takes a little bit of thought trying to put everything together in time, so I'm glad you came back and watched this one. Today we're actually going to be doing a viewer suggestion. I didn't get a chance to figure out who suggested this one specifically, but whoever you are, thank you, because today we are going to be discussing our Chocolate Fantasies line. So aren't you excited? I know I am. Let's get started. Okay, first up, we're going to be talking about Chocolate Ecstasy. It was the very first wine in our line of chocolate wines way back when. I actually think this wine has been in the winery longer than I have, which is surprising. It is a nice dark chocolate raspberry wine, and it's actually made all from Merlot. So it's a nice, rich, deep chocolate flavor and just a nice hint of raspberry. It's not too overpowering. You're definitely going to get more chocolate than fruit in this one. That's all right. And for this, the next two, we actually use an extract made from crushed cocoa beans to infuse in there. So it's a nice real chocolate flavor. So it's very enjoyable as an after dinner drink, or if you like sweeter wines. I know plenty of people who just like to drink this just on its own whenever. So it's great for that. One fun thing I like to do with this is I actually use it to make brownies. It only really works with boxed brownies. If you're making homemade brownies, the liquid isn't really the same. You're using eggs and you're using oil, so there really isn't a liquid that you can replace. But if you're just trying to make a quick batch of brownies and you're using a box mix, I don't judge, I use them too. You just use whatever the box calls for water, just replace it with the wine, and it adds a really nice note of raspberry to it. It enhances the chocolate already in the brownies. Yes, the alcohol is going to bake off, so it is safe for everybody to eat, but I like just the way it enhances the flavor. Another fun thing you can do with this is reduce it down. Just make a little syrup out of it, and you can use that to pour over ice cream. Use it as an ingredient in cocktails, or if you know your culinary skills are really great, you can reduce it down and use it as a glaze for pork or chicken. Another thing I have done with this, and I know I've talked about this in a previous video, is I use all of these wines to make chocolate martinis. So all you do is you take really equal parts of a really good vodka and one of the chocolate wines, and you just shake them up over ice, put them in a cocktail glass, and you have a really great martini. And of course, it all just depends on what your preference is in terms of sweetness and flavor. Again, like I said, this one is dark chocolate raspberry, so it's nice and full, and you get a lot of that flavor in there. Okay, so let's move on. That's Chocolate Ecstasy. We're heading on to the next one. Next up, Chocolate Seduction. This is our newest chocolate wine in the Chocolate Fantasies line, and it's actually my personal favorite of the four. We released this in, I think, around February or March. Sometime before all this craziness happened. That's all I know. And it's just really, it's a little bit sweeter, not very much, than the Chocolate Ecstasy. But it's like a semi-sweet chocolate with a hint of orange. So, hence the orange top here. It's just really nice light body, not too heavy. And I really do think this would be another one that's great reduced down over chicken or pork or over ice cream, anything like that. However, I accidentally stumbled on a fantastic pairing with this wine, and I'm going to share it all with you. For one of our movie nights, we did a Moroccan lentil soup, and I paired it with this wine, and it worked so well. The orange actually really helped brighten up all of the flavors in the soup, and the chocolate just made it a little bit richer, honestly. It really paired well with all the herbs and spices and the lentils. So I was really impressed and surprised that they went together. Sometimes my best pairing suggestions are purely on accident. I stumble across something and it ends up being amazing. But that's a Chocolate Seduction. So now we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, now we're on to everybody's favorite chocolate wine, I think, or at least the most popular of the four, Chocolate Obsession. For those of you who don't know, Chocolate Obsession is a wine that tastes exactly like a chocolate-covered strawberry. You should definitely try it out if you really like chocolate-covered strawberries. This one was actually the second chocolate wine we released, and from day one, it has been super popular. We wanted to do something a little bit sweeter because not everybody liked the dryness of the chocolate ecstasy, especially our sweeter drinkers. So Dan came up with this one, and it has just been going like crazy ever since. Again, the martini. In a previous video, I actually used this one with our Paracream butterscotch to make a martini-style beverage that I call Burnt Rose Martini. So that's a great use for that. But this past November, for our Victorian Tea Party, I reduced it down and I made suckers out of it. So I reduced it down, boiled it with some sugar until it hit the hard crack stage, poured it into some molds, and I had some really cool tasting suckers. It definitely concentrated the flavor a lot, so you got to keep them small if you plan on trying to make candy with it, but it was super tasty, and it was a really nice little treat that we gave to our guests, and I think it went over pretty well. So that's a fun thing that you can do with this. Pairing with it, though, I always tell people that my favorite thing to pair with this wine is Wegmans cannoli dip. We've also done this in the tasting room with cheesecake, and it's like they were made for each other, honestly. We used to do a marbled cheesecake and this during our Be Mine with Wine events, and it went over so well, so definitely try it with cheesecake. You take some strawberries and you soak it in the wine for a few hours, not too long because otherwise the fruit will start to break down and they won't be as good. But soak them in the wine for a few hours and then dip them in chocolate. So it's like boozy fruit, chocolate-covered strawberries, or double chocolate, chocolate-covered strawberries. However you want to describe it, that would be amazing and a nice little treat for someone you love or just yourself. But that's our Chocolate Obsession. So that's about all for that one. We're going to move on to our number 4. Okay, last but not least is our Chocolate Flirtation. If you like cherries, you like white chocolate, this is a great wine. It is predominantly cherry. You get the hint of chocolate and a little bit of vanilla in the very finish of it, but you're going to get cherry mostly throughout. I've heard people tell me that it tastes like a sweet tart, and it's actually pretty accurate. And you'll notice that it is white instead of the red like the rest of them. It's actually Chardonnay that we use for this one. And it's just a really nice light alternative if you don't want something as heavy as the reds, or if you're just not a fan of reds. I've actually used it to pair well with biscotti or shortbread. When you pair it, you don't want to pair it with something too sweet, because it's sweet enough in itself. It's actually the sweetest of the 4 wines, so you want to pair it with something a little bit less sweet. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit too overpowering. One tip, I found this out last summer. I tried to make a freezy pop with this. It did not work. The cherry became too overpowering and ended up a little bit almost medicinal and bitter. So don't freeze it unless you're going to be mixing it with something else, just to keep the sweetness level and the bitterness down. Other than that, I really just think this one's just great to sip and enjoy because it is lighter, just easier to sip if you like the sweet wines. So that would be my suggestions for that one. Okay, that's it for Chocolate Flirtation. Okay, well that is it for our Chocolate Fantasies line. I hope you enjoyed this video, especially if you haven't ever tried any of this wines. Maybe it will give you a little bit of insight what they're like, and maybe you'll want to come in and see me and we'll try them. So that's it for this week. Just to let you know, the featured wine of the week for this video is going to be Chocolate Ecstasy. So if you want to try and win a bottle of Chocolate Ecstasy, all you have to do is go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment underneath this video, and you'll be entered to win. And I will be messaging last week's winner of the bottle of Tropy after I post this video. As always, send me some suggestions for anything that you want to see on this show. You know, we have ideas to last us for a little bit. I definitely don't have 52 ideas to last me through the entire year, so any comments or suggestions on what you might want to see on Wine a Little Wednesdays would definitely be appreciated. So, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and wine a little. You'll feel better. Bye!